Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us this morning to talk about gun violence. What we want to share with you today are the facts about what has been happening in York City, some of what we are doing and hope to do to address the social conditions that sow the seeds of violence, such as poverty and trauma, what the community should and should not do to assist in the investigations of crimes and apprehension of criminals, innovations in the York City Police Department to address the safety of all residents, new programs to diversify our police force, how our Group Violence Intervention Initiative, or GVI, works to divert young people from violence, remove those that continue to act without regard for the safety of their community, and how GVI assists the victims of violence and their families in their time of greatest need, and the commitment of our law enforcement partners in addressing this existential threat. I want to thank York City Police Commissioner Michael Muldrow, GVI Manager Pastor Jim Tyson, and District Attorney David Sunday for joining us today. And a special welcome and thank you for our Acting United States Attorney General for the Middle District of Pennsylvania, Bruce Brandler, making his first visit here, right?
Third.
Oh, third visit? Oh, my mistake. Well, first time we're getting all together. We will hear from each of them shortly. I will start with some hard facts. Violent crimes are up across America's cities, and there is a reasonable expectation that things may continue to get worse as summer hits, COVID restrictions are lifted, and people gather together more frequently. York City has seen 7 homicide incidents in the first 6 months of 2021, tying previous records for the most in the first half of a year. We have had a record number of people struck by bullets. An interesting statistic is that fewer and fewer of our shootings, where the shooters have been identified, involve individuals listed as group members by our Group Violence Intervention Initiative. So the individuals being addressed through our GVI initiative are not committing most of the shootings. This may be an indicator of success for our GVI initiative, but also means that we need to do a better job identifying our young violent offenders so that we may try to use resources to divert them from lives that include violence. Gun possession appears to be up, with total firearms incidents in the first half of 2021 nearly reaching the number of incidents for the entire year of 2018. But there is good news out of the York City Police Department. The York City Police have made 65 illegal firearm arrests and removed 92 illegal firearms from our streets already this year. And contrary to what you may hear from some individuals not actually involved in law enforcement, our York City police and detectives have a homicide clearance rate of 66.3% over the past 4 years. So in nearly 2 out of every 3 homicides, our team and their law enforcement partners, including other departments, the ATF, and the U.S. Marshals, identify, locate, apprehend, charge, and turn over the homicide suspects to our partners at the York County District Attorney's Office and U.S. Attorney General's Office for prosecution. This is above the national average of 61% for homicide case closure across the country. I think another hand for that. Thank you. A study recently showed that violent crime in York is worse than many of our peer cities. What the study didn't tell us is why or how to fix it. From my research and personal analysis, I believe the violence is coming from social conditions in our nation, our community, and in our homes. Now, I can't discuss all of them here today, but first I want to say just one thing about what we can do in our homes. Love and discipline, in that order, are the greatest gifts we can give our children and the greatest shields against them becoming involved in violence. Please protect your children from influences outside of your home and particularly inside your home that can lead them to believe that a violent or criminal life is normal or appropriate. Looking at the bigger picture, nationally there is an atmosphere of intolerance in general. This is heavily expressed through media and entertainment. Whether it is on our partisan news networks, in the movies or on our TVs and computers, or in some of the music we hear, intolerance and violence have strong voices of support that our children hear. There is nothing law enforcement or local politicians can do about this, but parents and guardians absolutely can think about the influence these voices are having on young minds and make the decisions as to what types of media our youth are exposed to, at least in our homes. Obviously, nationally and locally, systemic racism has resulted in generational poverty, personal degradation, education gaps, and a mentality in some that survival at all costs is the best that they can hope for. People living in survival mode can make bad decisions. Unfortunately, when speaking with our young people involved in violence, many of them talk of doing what they need to do to survive, which includes killing others to protect their own or their group's territory, illegal businesses, and reputation. Every species on Earth will find ways to adapt to hostile environments and environments where resources are scarce, and humans are very good at it. When we as a nation or community hold people down in poverty, we may not like the ways that they adapt. Very few people want to commit violence or steal or sell illegal or stolen products or prostitute themselves. In most cases, these are the reactions of people that have not been given the tools for success or the time and support it takes for people to believe they can do better. Others have suffered repeated trauma at a young age to the point that it has changed their brain chemistry. When faced with danger or stress, your body chemistry adjusts to give you chemicals like adrenaline that can help you react. If you are frequently or constantly under stress, these chemicals can short-circuit what we would call normal brain function so that everything and every situation is considered a threat. And survival by constantly being on the defense and possibly aggressive is a natural reaction. Being in survival mode and traumatized make it very, very difficult to advance in life, in education, in a career, or to become what some would call a productive member of society. These are the very roots of our violence problems: poverty and trauma. If these are not addressed, all of the law enforcement and education in the world are not going to solve our violence issues. Since I came into office, I have dreamt of and worked to put forward initiatives that would address poverty and trauma in a meaningful way. But most of my plans and dreams languished for lack of money. Then on top of that, COVID hit and reduced our ability to reach those in need. I am jubilant to say that today we are looking at a new day. With the money coming from President Biden and Congress, and with the support of City Council, it is my goal to implement programs that will directly address the poverty and trauma in our community. I will be looking to expand the services of the City of York's Bureau of Health to include trauma counselors that can visit families in their homes if they so choose. I will be asking to fund a new Learn While You Work program where individuals will get paid to work part of the week and earn educational credits on other days, while getting paid for the full 40-hour work week. With council support, we will support additional career training programs throughout our neighborhoods. We will expand our programs to help entrepreneurs and small businesses. We will expand and support mentoring and recreational programs for our young people.
Thank you, God.
We will expand our existing rental assistance programs and provide counselors for those facing eviction or foreclosure. We need to support our families in York City. This is how we stop the perpetuation of violence in our city. Of course, social change takes some time, and we still need to support law enforcement to address our imminent threats. The federal guidelines for the money coming from Washington and President Biden's speech yesterday specifically include the funding of evidence-based community violence intervention programs such as GVI, our Group Violence Intervention Initiative. I will be requesting that City Council approve support of GVI, including the hiring of Spanish-speaking staff and community messengers, individuals who have lived the same lives as our young people, made the same bad decisions, suffered the consequences, and now want to give back by working to redirect our young people from making those same mistakes. Yeah. Commissioner Muldrow will now share with you some of the other innovative things he has implemented and some plans we are working on. Thank you.
All right. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council, the community that's out here today, and the media. We're not here today to celebrate or pat each other on the back, and I apologize in advance if I step on any toes. Today, we're here to speak the truth to privilege and preconceived notions. See, the problem we're facing today was not created today, but it's a complex and far-reaching one. And despite what those speak, post, and comment in sensational ways for likes, attention, and the further personal goals would have you believe, we need only look to yesterday's presidential press conference about the increasing gun violence across the country to see the truth that York is not alone in what we're facing. So we have to stop painting that picture. See, this is a serious condition, and it should be serious to everyone, regardless of where you live. These aren't just stories to tell. This is not just a York City issue. This is about the lives of real people. These are our neighborhoods, these are our kids, and regardless of what corner you reside in, crime is not influenced by race and does not respect borders or boundary lines. Much of the problems we face here in York City today are fueled by individuals who live outside of this community. York, all of York, is one big interconnected family and community that's influenced and being felt, that influence is being felt everywhere. See, we have to make sure we remain responsible about the things that we say, the things we do, and the things we share, out of respect for families who suffer during these incidents, but also with regard to the sensitive investigations that are taking place that can easily be delayed or unintentionally derailed by our actions. And regardless of those social elements that led us to be where we are today, and anyone's personal opinions of the people that are here in front of you, the fact is we're here now, and these are the people who have been here in the trenches trying to help fix it, not for themselves, not for their resume, but for other people. Because the truth is, you don't sacrifice your time with your family, stand up to other people's bullies, duck bullets, or do the things that these people do just for a paycheck. See, it's easy to say new people will do new things, but the fact is, whether it requires old dogs to learn new tricks, you can't just add new faces, continue to do all the same things, and expect different results. So we're keeping the things that have always been effective, like our traditional enforcement, our proactive policing, and throwing out some of the things, some of the practices that have gotten in the way of real, respectful relationships with this community. And those new things that we talked about are happening right now. Things that may seem a little unorthodox or outside of the box, but things that focus on building people up, creating bonds, supporting families and our neighborhoods. Things that work together for the good of the whole. Things like our relentless daily pursuit of shooters, our Operation Scarecrow, the street team, the newly formed gun squad, neighborhood saturation patrols, weekly curfew sweeps with our partners in the schools, and the dedication of our officers who handle York City's 50,000 plus emergency calls each and every year. But also other things like our continual focus on community outreach, the monthly community forums that keep our community and our residents informed with what we're doing, our bi-weekly community walks with our large groups who go out each night and also our increased daily foot patrols by our officers. Free workshops like our Women's Self-Defense Seminar, the Juvenile Engagement Officer tasked with helping parents prevent our young people from becoming involved in the system beforehand. Our Therapy Dog Initiative to help support victims in traumatized neighborhoods. Aging in Place, supporting our local seniors with free surveillance cameras to make them feel better about their homes. The Handle with Care Initiative that's being created and being developed to improve our ability to respond while supporting persons in crisis and those who suffer from mental health and disability. Committing resources to juvenile reentry and department-based counseling services to help support those traumatized neighborhoods. Renewed commitments to diversity and inclusion with our newly appointed diversity and inclusion officer who is tasked with being a resource to the community and working to make the inside of our agency a more tolerant place. And our intentional focus on talent development and the recruitment of underrepresented populations, striving to make our department more diverse, like the community we serve. Things like the paid cadet program that will be coming to encourage young people to participate in their own justice and assume roles in this community as police. Support from our partners in WellSpan with the development of our newly formed Incredible Messenger program right here in York. The GVI Group Violence Intervention Initiative, and strong partnerships with our schools, our churches, social service agencies, business, municipal partners, county, state, and federal, just to name a few. So once again, I'd like to publicly thank the mayor and city council for working out our finances of the city and allowing us to start to replenish our ranks. Because while we'll always try our best in everything we do, you can't do any of the things that I just talked about without having officers that can work on the street and fill those uniforms. So hold on to hope, York. Knowing a lot has already been accomplished, great work is being done right now, and there's so much more in store. Because this is our community, and we all have a responsibility. We can't do this alone, and frankly, I don't want to. So to the people of York, help where you can, help when you can, help where you can. Consider what you do, what you say, and what you post, and how your actions may affect others. Please, and commit to being part of the solution rather than just another problem. Right. And be assured, we take our role and responsibility here as seriously as you do. As we understand and believe, no one is above accountability, but everyone is redeemable if they are willing to change. Because at the end of the day, we know each and every person who lives here has potential, has value, matters, and is deserving of respect. And we will continue to do everything we can possibly do to defend that. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. And now we will hear from our Group Violence Intervention Initiative Manager, Pastor Jim Tyson.
Thank you, Mayor. I want you to think of 3 words: safe, alive, free. That's what GVI is about. It's not about law enforcement doing a lot of heavy-handed stuff to try and quell violence within the city, but it's about touching the lives of those who are involved in the violence within the city and doing everything we can, offering anything that we can to help them, to make changes to their lives so that they will stop the violence. You see, law enforcement is the last step in the process. Only ultimately, if they will not stop, does law enforcement come into play. But in order to do this, it can't be done alone. It can't be done just by law enforcement. It requires us as a community to come together and do it. GVI isn't just about the York City Police Department or even the city of York. It's about you.
That's right. That's right.
You see, we have to take all of the service providers in our community, and they have to be willing to take the individuals who are involved in these acts and prioritize them and realize that they need help, and they need it now, and they need it when they ask for it. Not 2 weeks from now, not a month from now, but right now. And we have to do that. And then it's about the community realizing that, as the mayor said, there's a list. We know the individuals who are involved in this, and it's less than 0.5% of the entire population of this city. That means 99.5% of us are not violent people causing the violence in the city. Why do we allow 0.5% then to rule our city? Why are we not stepping in and wrapping around them, doing anything that we can and saying, this has got to stop? Amen. We have that voice. You have that voice. You are the majority here. We can do this together, but we have to trust in each other and believe in each other. You know, this isn't simply a gun problem. The media and others would have you think this is a gun problem. It's not a gun problem, it's a heart problem. And we have to touch hearts. One of the things that we go around doing is we try to put Band-Aids on heart attacks when what we need is open heart surgery. And that's what we have to focus on. And the only way we're going to do that is if we come together and address the issue. We know who the folks are. Are you willing to join us, to be a part, to go into your neighborhood, and when you hear that some folks are beefing with each other, to step in and say, you got to stop. You got to stop. If you do that, law enforcement never gets involved.
That's right.
They never have to do anything.
Come on.
It takes all of us, and that's what we're trying to do here. Join us and help to make York a safer community. Thank you.
Amen. Love you.
Thank you, Pastor. And now we will hear from York County District Attorney David Sunday.
Good morning, everyone. It's an honor to be here today. I have pretty brief remarks. First of all, I want to thank everyone for being here. And my role here today is really to support my colleagues. And when I say colleagues, I mean everyone standing here with me. We have a saying in the DA's office that a high tide lifts all ships. And the reality is that's the same for any community. And we work together every single day. And what we want to do is be in a position where we don't have to prosecute all these cases, where we don't have to make all these arrests. And at the end of the line does come the district attorney's office. And after the district attorney's office, in a lot of cases, comes the U.S. attorney's office. And our goal is to have a world where we don't have to stand here and talk about our statistics for the amount of arrests and prosecutions we have. And so that being said, I want to talk very briefly, and there's some thank yous I'd like to make. There's a lot of members of the community that aren't here with us today that put in the work day after day, their own time, their own energy. They don't stand up here with us usually, and they're the people that are fighting hard to keep us from being in this position. I want to thank Alice Ann Frost with the program It's About Change, the York County Reentry Coalition that does everything it can to decrease barriers to reentry. So the people that come out of prison will be in a position to work, to earn money, to be with their families. We all know that 95% of everyone that walks into a prison will come out. And of the 95% that come out, half of them are going to go back in within about 3 years. The number one driver for that is joblessness. So that's something we're working on here in York County to try to better that. I want to thank the York County Human Services Department. That's part of everything we do. I want to thank the Family Engagement Unit. I want to thank Antoine Dorm for Stick and Move. I want to thank Brant Kingsley with Pedal for Peace. LaQuinn Thompson with the Beast Initiative Push. And if you don't know about any of these, by the way, I would Google it, look it up, reach out to these people. I want to thank Mike Smith with the YWCA Quantum Opportunities in Temple Garden. Robin Shear with Friends and Neighbors of Pennsylvania. Still Meadow Church of the Nazarene that always steps up and provides us a place to have our GVI call-ins and many, many other things. I want to thank the Black Ministers Association. I know Pastor Kearney's up here beside me. Thank you, Pastor Kearney. True partners in everything we do. York College of Pennsylvania, the Boys Club of York with Tino Conquest. I want to thank WellSpan for being a partner. Community Progress Council. Anu Banks is standing over there with the cell phone. Yes, I want to thank Anu and the movement for all the work that he does. And I want to thank very important partners in everything we do, and that's the Adult and Juvenile Probation Department. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I mean, they are active with children and juveniles in this community, and they truly, truly do care. And it was important to highlight those people because, again, we're a team. I want to thank our federal partners, one of which is standing to my left. In the York County District Attorney's Office, we've expanded over the last 3 years and really put ourselves in a position where we have, I won't quite say seamless, but pretty close to it, flow of information amongst all of our partners. You find in law enforcement that, you know, we truly don't have the resources to get it all done. No one group, no one department, no one agency by themselves can get this done. It doesn't exist, it's not real. And so we collaborate and we work with each other. We have a space where people work together every day and they share information and they talk about what's going on. And these are federal partners, state partners, local partners, and that's very, very critical. The U.S. Attorney's Office has worked with us to allow us to actually have York County detectives that are members of task forces with the DEA, with the ATF. We work every single day with the FBI. We have a prosecutor in the York County District Attorney's Office who's a designated Special Assistant United States Attorney, and that's through a DOJ grant that allows us to have, again, seamless communication with our federal partners. In addition to that, just by way of example, a few days ago we had a case here locally where an individual was selling meth repeatedly, and a search warrant was executed. I have to be careful, it's an ongoing case. A search warrant was executed, and the result of that search warrant was 1 pound of meth, 2 firearms. This individual has previously 2 felonies for delivery of drugs. Within 1 day, we were able to make that arrest, collaborate with our federal partners, and that individual is now indicted and will be off the streets of York and will not be in a position to peddle meth to our children. And so I want to thank the U.S. Attorney's Office again. I want to thank the city, and I want to give a special, we need a special round of applause for, and hold on a second, I want to say this, I know we're not patting each other in the back, and I get that. Okay, but the reality is you have to give credit where it's due. And there's an energy that exists and a spirit that exists, and one of the #1 catalysts for that truly is Commissioner Mike Muldrow. And again, this is not, we're nowhere near the end, not even close. But the reality is this man has dedicated his time in a way that I really haven't seen before. And it's something that really is inspirational. In addition to the guns that have been removed by the York City Police Department, our county detectives working with the York City Police Department have also, in addition to that 92, have separately removed 31 additional firearms off the streets of York City. All of those guns were in the possession of an individual that was being charged or arrested for delivery of drugs. And that's very important to understand, that those are people that are dealing drugs that have on their possession or with them a firearm, which puts us in some of the most dangerous situations that we truly can be in. Coming full circle back to the very beginning, we truly cannot make a safer York City and York County through prosecution alone. And I mean that it's similar to the opioid epidemic. There are some ills of society that the police and the prosecutors by ourselves absolutely cannot fix. There is a critical nature right now in which the community needs to be safe. And we are going to do everything we can to help to keep the community safe through an aggressive, collaborative push to remove illegal firearms from the street and take them out of the hands of individuals that would use them to shoot others. In addition to that, the reason I started off with talking about the community and people that work with us is to highlight the fact that this is truly a community issue. And we do everything we can for outreach to the community and to support the community. And we would also ask, very simply, that the community reaches out and supports us. As a York County DA, I can tell you without question that this issue is not limited to the geographical boundaries of the city of York. We're interconnected as a community. We're interconnected as a county, as a state. As a region, we're impacted by Philadelphia. As a county, we're impacted by everyone around us. And that's why the only way we're going to be able to do this is to work together as a team. We have county police chiefs who are working with us on task forces to identify and to help make arrests and to help prosecute cases. And we have all acknowledged as a team that this is not a York City problem alone, that York City is not standing alone, and we cannot just walk our own separate ways and just say, well, you know what, they'll take care of it, because that's not real, and it's not what we're going to do. And so that being said, despite recent issues, we can definitively say that York County has come a long way, and we do have to acknowledge that we have come a long way. And we're looking to further state that we're not satisfied with being the same as everyone else that was discussed during the president's press conference yesterday. We want to be different, and we want to show people that there is a way to get this done, where not only do we prosecute the people that absolutely need to be prosecuted, where we get off the street people that are violent, that are causing violence, and that are making our community, our friends and neighbors afraid every single day. But at the same time, we want to get to the beginning of this, and we want to stop this so that down the road, we can have a safer community. I want to lastly just very simply say that, you know, sometimes solutions to problems don't fit neatly within like a time frame, right, or a cycle. And as a society, we often find ourselves sort of moving with the political cycle, right, re-elections every 2 or 4 years. It takes a tremendous amount of courage for people to take a deep dive and a commitment to issues where you know that there won't be instant gratification. Like, you know that that's not going to happen, but you do know that as the years go on and as the generations go on, it'll be a different place. And that's what our hope is, and that's what we're doing working together. And I know I said lastly, but I also want to thank our police officers every day who are out there hitting it real hard and putting themselves in a position of danger to do everything they can. And so I believe that our acting U.S. Attorney for the Middle District has the unenviable position of going after all of us. But it's truly an honor to have him here. And although unseen, our friends in Harrisburg are with us every single day through resources, through grant funding, through prosecutions, and they are an integral part of our team. And so I thank him tremendously for coming down to York and being here with us for this day. So thank you very much.
Well, I will try and be brief. There's really not much more I can say that's not already been said, and I don't want to be redundant, but there has been some mention here today about the president's press conference yesterday that addressed violence in America. And so this press conference is extremely topical, because what's happening here is happening all across America. But I can tell you, at least from my perspective of overseeing 33 counties in the Middle District of Pennsylvania, that the energy here in York is enviable and is really over the top compared to what I see in all the other areas that I go to. And I travel throughout the mid-state. You really do have an excellent group of individuals who are devoted, to addressing this problem. The mayor, you can tell from the passion he speaks about poverty and trauma being root causes of violence. I couldn't agree more with that sentiment. The commissioner of the police department and the DA, you know, these people are really fine individuals who have their heart in it. So I applaud them. I will say this, I have been here several times before during my career, and I've always talked about York as being ground zero for our war on violent crime and our war on drugs. It's been the most violent and drug-ridden community in our jurisdiction in the Middle District of Pennsylvania. That's very unfortunate. But as the mayor said, great things are happening here, and these problems are being addressed. Unfortunately, it takes a lot of money to do the things that need to be done to address violent crime. So you talk about prevention, and you have to talk about reentry along with the prosecution. And it used to be called Smart on Crime. I go back to 2013. You know, there was another Attorney General, Eric Holder. There was a different president at that time, Barack Obama, and Joe Biden was the vice president, and they had a Smart on Crime initiative. And instead of just focusing on prosecution, a lot of our focus was on prevention and reentry programs. York was ahead of the curve even then with their GVI initiative, and has really always been ahead of the curve. So it takes money, and President Biden has pledged to open up federal coffers to cities like York to address the root causes of violence. And I will do everything in my power on behalf of the U.S. Attorney's Office to make sure that that grant money comes to ground zero. So I want York not only to be ground zero for violent crime, but I want York to be ground zero for the federal money that's going to come to address violent crime. So I will tell the mayor, and I gave him my card before this press conference to call me. The federal government has numerous grants. I just signed on one, certified one last week that Dave Sunday mentioned, where we fund fully a special assistant U.S. attorney who's a deputy DA in the York County DA's office. We pay the entire salary for that individual. A portion of that grant money also goes to the GVI initiative. There are billions of dollars that are going to flow to communities like this one, and we want to make sure that York gets its fair share. So on that happy note, I think I'll leave it to others.
Thank you, Attorney Brandler. And just a couple closing remarks I have. One, I'm not sure if we mentioned the York City School Police. Thank you so much. They are integral. The York City School Police have the ability to really understand who we need to help the most. Yes. They get to see these kids every day. They get to see them when they're young, before they come to any of us. Right. So thank you so much for your partnership with our new, York County Probation Departments and GVI's new Juvenile Violence Intervention Initiative. Let's get to those kids before they get to us. I also wanted to say that this is an amazing day. It's amazing to see all of these partners together. And if we can stay together like this and let this other stuff, whatever static and junk that gets in our way, let it go. Let's keep working together to move forward. We are going to disagree with each other. It's our jobs as adults to forgive each other. That's what our kids need to see, because these killings are from people not forgiving each other. Getting upset over some things that an adult mind might say, why would you in the world would you kill somebody over this type of insult, or being with a girl that you used to be with, or some of the things that we hear these murders are about. But remember, they're looking at us.
Talk about it.
We need to forgive each other our flaws, our mistakes. and keep working together as a team. That's the only way we're getting this done. So thank you very much. I also want to finish out, the Black Ministers Association has been an amazing partner with the chiefs of police across York County, with GVI, and of course with York City. And I want to ask Pastor Kearney to end us with a prayer for the city of York.
Amen. Let's just call this thing what it really is. The mayor mentioned the various influences that take place to affect our youth, our city, our state, our nation. It's called evil. Come on, it's just evil. These things that are happening, that are taking place, are just plain evil. We have taken God out of the situation. We have turned a deaf ear to the things that God has ordained from the very beginning. We, as spiritual leaders here in York County, has recognized that we, as the faith-based community, must come together and stand as one body, one church. We're not looking at denominations. We're looking at unifying, coming together to counteract, to activate our faith, which will allow us to fight.
Come on, Pastor.
We must fight this thing spiritually. So the only way that we can do it, they have asked the community to come together. Let's stand as one. Let's humble ourselves. Let's repent of some of the things that we have done. Those that are spiritual understand. It takes us to repent of the wrong that we have done if we want to see a mighty hand and move of God. Let's do it. Let's offer ourselves as sacrifices of praise to continue to ask God to give us the victory as we come together and put God first, so that these plans, come on, the plans that were presented today, come on, let's present them to God so that he can bless them, so that he can increase them, so that he can put them, he can move them forward, and we can become a community. We can become a community that can be a light. This county can be a light to this state, this nation. We're already getting a lot of national attention from the initiatives that we have done. They mentioned those things. So let's come together. Let's do it. Those that know the power of prayer, let us go before the throne of grace right now. Eyes closed, heads are bowed. Born again believers are praying with me. Gracious and Heavenly Father, thank you. We thank you for this opportunity to come together, first of all, to give you glory, to give you praise, and to continue to invite you in our city, our county, our state, our nation. Father, we haven't turned from you. We haven't given up on you. Why? Because you are a faithful God. You said that you would never leave us or forsake us. Thank you for not looking at our transgressions, holding them against us. But you are a God that's able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we can ask or think. So right now, continue to make us one. Continue to bring us together as a people. Oh God, we'll be careful to give you glory. We'll be careful to give you praise. Thank you for dispatching your divine angels and giving us protection, Lord, and camping about us, keeping us from danger, seen and unseen. We declare it done. Increase our faith. Increase our fight. Allow us to do the things that you have called us to do. And Father, we will give you glory. We will give you praise in all that we do and all that we say. And the people of God say, amen. Come on, amen. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. At this time, we can take any questions.
That $360,000 grant for York College that needed to be extended, do you have an update on that extension request? And also, how is that going to impact your response to crime in the county and in the city when you don't have the results of that study yet?
We're still waiting on it. So.
Well.
I mean, all I can say is we're still waiting on the results of that study. I mean, we look forward to seeing that. We want those results because the important thing about studies, if done correctly, is it helps you decide where we need to get better, right? Like where we need to get better, what's working, what's not. And so obviously the pandemic caused a lot of issues for a lot of things, this one of them. And so, but we're looking forward to receiving that. We just haven't, we don't have it yet. Yes, that's correct. That's correct. Yep. Thank you.
Yes, Ed.
Mayor, if you could say one thing to the people in those neighborhoods across the city, Lost Hope, people that live next door, doors away from the shootings occurred, people of Lost Hope, what would you say to those?
I would say first, don't lose hope. If you need hope, come and talk to Commissioner Muldrow. Come and talk to the officers up here, the district attorney. We all have hope. I know that individual incidents can be extremely, extremely traumatic. I also know that the individuals up here manage to live in a hurricane of trauma while they try to help the people around our community. I don't know if you can always tell, but these traumas affect these officers. These traumas affect Commissioner Muldrow. These traumas affect me. And we continue, I think it re-energizes us to work harder, and we will continue to work harder to try and make everyone feel and be as safe as possible.
Man. Everybody that he mentioned and that's standing here, those are hope pushers.
I like it.
Everybody that was mentioned.
Hey, say it, Jamil. Yeah. Say it, Jamil. It's Jamil Alexander, tireless hope deliverer.
I know. I wanted to encourage and everybody that was mentioned, the programs, and even the people standing here, we're hope pushers.
Yeah.
Our lives is hope. So if y'all ever question Tino, Anu, Tanya, like all these, Robin, Dr. Wildthour, we're here in solidarity. We've been here, and that's what I love about the commissioner. Like, it is what it is. And the fact that he's reaping the fruits of his labor when it comes to the CRC offices, and they've been doing the work, and there's a lot of information where we call them to talk about whether it be defund, divest. There's already things happening in here. Thank you for letting me share. Y'all see me in the trenches.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Yes, Gito. Yes.
So what would be like the ETA or suspected time those programs start rolling out?
I can tell you the process. Currently, we are getting ready to have community meetings. Now, I mentioned some of my very specific priorities I have, not only for the money coming from the federal government, but also for potential proceeds coming from the wastewater treatment plant sale. And we are about to, I would say within the next 3 weeks, begin having the meetings, both the internal meetings with city council members, other elected officials, as well as community meetings, as well as providing surveys out into the community to determine what the priorities are of the community in general. Once we have that, then it's a matter of us putting forward budget amendments to the city council. That's my job. And then the council will decide what they support. and they will alter the budget so that we can then put out requests for proposals. Those proposals would be from existing organizations that feel that they can provide the services that we have approved, and then we work together to set that up. So I'm going to say, I'm going to look hopefully at our council representative and say that that's a process that shouldn't take more than 6 months to get us going. Now, that's for the money, that's for the first half of the federal money that has already been provided to the city of York. Wastewater treatment plant money wouldn't come until next year sometime, so then we would have to go through the same process at that time. But that's the schedule. We are talking months, not years. Anyone else?
Actually, I'm glad. Thank you. That's actually current. That's actually occurring right now. We were able to get a lot of things done and get it furthered with a lot of begging, borrowing, and stealing. But thankfully, we've been able to rope in some other partners like the DA's office, British Schwab, and some other individuals who have actually found outside funding. So we were able to get investors like Powder Mill that joined on to be able to actually help us fund it, some of the blanks that we needed to fill in, some of the gaps. And it's actually in process now. So we're just at a point where we're working out some of the technical aspects, like with Lieutenant Lentz, he would be able to share it more with just some of the things that we need to be able to do through the system, to be able to integrate it through county control. But we're talking about having that, sorry, big truck, hold on. All right, my apologies. Yeah. But yeah, Handle with Care, with respect to Handle with Care, that'll be coming online. That should be online by the fall. Yeah, if that. And then the other pieces that we're looking to do, like the mental health counselors, the clinicians that'll work inside of the department, all fall into the process that the mayor was explaining about getting funding approval with some of those federal government dollars. But thankfully, everything looks promising, and I feel as though it's coming. So these were 5-year goals that I had. I know me and you have talked before when I first started that looked like they're all going to be happening now. So, absolutely.
And let me just share, I want to acknowledge there's kind of 3 levels of counseling that we are working on right now, and I want to acknowledge WellSpan, who has been working and I believe has already initiated trauma counseling in their emergency unit, particularly addressing victims and families of violent crime that, obviously that's where they end up. And if you have ever been there, and I know you have, Tanya, if you've ever been there, you know that there's no time of need greater than when you don't know what's going on with your loved one, you can't see them immediately. And so WellSpan has really taken a step forward. Then we're looking to have counseling as part of GVI. Actually, I guess it's kind of 4 layers because Commissioner Muldrow is looking to have more counseling within the York City School District for our youth. And then what I was speaking of earlier is broader counseling so that we can increase the focus in the city of York. The one thing we know is that the resources that are being applied to mental health broadly that are directed by the County of York, in my opinion, are not great enough for the need that we have. So York City is going to, because we have some money coming in, we're going to take this into our own hands, and we're going to, with the approval of council again, expand the Bureau of Health to now take on some of the mental health trauma issues that we have here in the city. Any other questions? Thank you all for joining us, and enjoy the beautiful day.